Welcome everybody to the July edition of the Drupal NYC Meetup here at 30 Rock. Thank you all for coming. Woo! Yeah! Yeah! Yes! All right, so before I begin, I was asked by one of the members of the crowd to let you guys know what the little NBC swag thing is over there. It's a little car charger, I think, right? A little USB cigarette lighter charger. So for those of you who are curious, that's what that is. Okay, what's that? That's a fair point. Who here has a car? One. We have one. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to get started. My name is Alex Ross. I will be your MC for the evening. A couple of housekeeping items before we really get into it. Firstly, there is a women's restroom, stage left hallway, so that's this hallway, go all the way down. There is a men's restroom, the stage right hallway, all the way down. And there is a unisex restroom I know on that side. I think there's one on that side also, but yes, there's definitely one stage right. So if you need to use the restroom, please go do that. If you have any devices with you that are going to make noise during the evening, please put them on silent. Does anybody still have pagers? Is that like a thing anymore? No? Okay. Also, during the evening, we are recording, and there's like a thing in a minute that says we're recording this, but we are recording, and we do like to pick up all the questions. So as the evening progresses, if you have questions, please do try and make sure that you grab one of the mics. Different people will be running around with the mics, but please make sure when you ask questions that you ask it into the mic. For the presenters, if you find that someone asked a question without asking it in the mic, just try and repeat it real quick so that we get it, so that when people watch this 50 years from now, wondering about the topics that we talk about, that they will hear all the questions. Okay, next. The agenda today, so the doors are open. We have all socialized, right? Very well done. We've eaten pizza, sponsored by our friends here at NBC Universal. I'm doing the announcements right now. We're going to do quick introductions. We have 3 talks lined up for the evening. There's also what we call it, we should think of a new name, because we keep calling it the newbie boff, but it's not really a newbie boff, so I have a really specific question about Drupal or I'm a newbie boff. So I usually do that, I'll announce it ahead of time, but I usually go out into the hallway. Yes, Mani? Ask me anything, Alex Ross. There you go. But I will be out in that hallway, and I'll make an announcement when I'm going out there. But if you have like an undying need to ask a very particular question about your site, or what module should I use for X, Y, or Z, I will do my best to answer it. Or at the very least, I will point you in the direction of somebody who can answer it. So that will happen around the time when the talks start, and I'll wave to everybody. We'll have a quick closing remarks, and afterwards Fastly, our friends at Fastly, sponsor a after party downstairs at Bill's Bar. The entrance is on 51st Street. It's 1 block north of here. I always say that we're at the bottom bar, and then someone tells me we're at the upstairs bar, but there are 2 bars. One is upstairs, one is downstairs. So if you find yourself at a bar and you don't recognize anybody, then you went to the wrong one and go to the other bar. Okay, cool. So on the Wi-Fi, okay, good. Question was, how do we get on the Wi-Fi? If you take a look at the bottom of each of these slides, you should be able to get onto the Wi-Fi. Yes, you have to fill out a form to get on the Wi-Fi. It is. We can take a look when I go out there if you'd like. I'll help you out, but I'm going to keep going right now. But you do have to register for a guest account on our guest Wi-Fi network. I apologize for that. But you do have to do that in order to get on. Moving right along, our talks for this evening. So we have 3 great talks. The first one is by Dave Johnson, who is right, where are you? There you are. Dave is going to tell us about the upgrade, the migration, the move from Drupal 6 to 7. Uh-oh. Damn it. The upgrade from Drupal 6 to Drupal 7 for Pride.com. So he's going to talk about that in just a couple minutes. We also have a talk by Jacob, who just ran up here and turned on his Alexa. So he's going to talk to us about Alexa and Drupal and how those things kind of combine. What's that? It turned off. So now we turned it on. Now I don't know. It's blinking at me. I have no idea. I've never used one. But he's going to talk to us about that and how we can enrich our lives in our homes with Alexa and Drupal. We'll find out. And then Adar. Adar, are you here? There he is. Hey, Adar. Adar is going to be giving a talk on called How Not to #Fail, budget goggles and the time-boxed project. So he's going to be talking to us about how to kind of put our projects together and make sure we get things done on time. Questions, comments, concerns, jokes, poems? No. Oh, I have a trivia question for this evening. I always try and come up with something quick. Other than Ho Ling, and other than the people who were here earlier in the evening, can anyone name the youngest host of SNL ever? Drew Barrymore. Very good, Scott. She was 7 years old when she hosted SNL. And apparently she couldn't watch it. Like, she had to go home and go to bed. So that's cool. Anyway, okay, tonight's organizers. If you are an organizer for the evening, wave your hand a little bit. Yeah. Yay! Thank you, organizers. I do that because I just like people clapping for me. But more than that, I do want to make sure that everybody knows who the organizers are, so that if you have questions, comments, concerns about the event or suggestions or anything like that, you can go to any one of those people who just raised their hands and waved and let them know about it. And we always do try and take whatever feedback we can get and make changes and make improvements to the meetups. So we welcome that feedback. So find one of our organizers and let us know how we're doing. Okay. Yes, venue, food, and drinks have been sponsored by our good friends here at NBCU Technology. Yay! Yay! Thank you, NBC, of course. We've had this great space for a while now. I feel like we're almost at a year. We're getting close. So this has been a really terrific space, and we get pizza and drinks, and yeah, that's awesome. So we're gonna get to that on the next slide, dude. You're totally trumping my next slide. We're still thanking NBC. Yay! Okay. Our friends at NBC in the back over there, Victor and Kevin, are around. Come talk to them about, what's going on here at NBC. We're always hiring. All right. They're also going to be, I'm assuming, by the tables at some point during the evening. So if you want to find them, please do grab them. Okay. Thank you again, NBC. And oh, look, let's thank Fastly. All right. Yay! So Fastly has been really generous and has been sponsoring our after party and buying everybody a drink. So that's been really great of them. We do appreciate that. And yeah, definitely show up at Bill's Bar later and socialize with the good people who are here and say hi to somebody that you don't know. Okay. That didn't work. Click. Okay. Photos. We do encourage you to take photos during the evening and at all the Drupal NYC events. If you take photos, use the hashtag Drupal NYC in order to identify them. We have that on meetup.com. We have that on Twitter. We have that on Instagram. Whatever it is you're using, use that hashtag so we can make everybody else jealous of all the fun that we're having here and thus grow the event and grow the attendance and have people want to come. So please take pictures and tag them. Some upcoming events. The big one that's upcoming is starting this weekend. Nice Camp Willie's not here, so I'll talk about Nice Camp a little bit. So Nice Camp is going on this weekend at the United Nations. It's a really, really terrific camp. It's a great event. There will be trainings on Friday and I don't know what else is going on, but I know they're training on Friday because I'm giving a training on Friday, so come to that. There are sessions and events going on both Saturday and Sunday that are very specifically focused on Drupal. There will be lots of things for like, hey, I know Drupal, but what's this Drupal 8 thing all about? There will be lots of things about the future of Drupal, how to get involved in contributing. There are various summits that are going on, so definitely go to nicecamp.org and check that out. You can sign up on nicecamp.org and get yourself registered. They are kind of persnickety about security at the United Nations, so I do recommend you get there a few minutes earlier than you want to actually get into the event. It's going to be a terrific event, and Nice Camp is part of Open Camps, which is a larger event that is kind of a consortium of a whole bunch of different open source projects supported by the United Nations. So there's events this weekend that are dedicated to Drupal. There are ones that are dedicated to Angular. There's sessions that are dedicated to WordPress. There's sessions dedicated to name something else.
A meteor,
What?
camp, a meteor camp, and there's a meteor training on
A
Friday.
meteor camp. What camp?
Saturday.
Word camp. Android, Swift, and so on and so forth, right? So there's all sorts of really good events. All through, yeah, I think it's more than a week. It's like 8, 9 days, something like that.
The weekends and then book through the week.
Yeah, so definitely tell your friends, tell your neighbors, and tell your neighbors' friends. Okay, NYC Play Day. We do an NYC Play Day once a month, a part of the Drupal NYC community. We are having it on the 23rd of July. So go take a look at meetup.com and sign up for that. Play days are a really great opportunity to like sit down, open up your laptop, start writing a little bit of code, help the guy sitting next to you, get help from the girl sitting next to you on the other side, and really kind of work through any problems that you have or any ideas that you've been kind of tossing around. It's a really good a good way to kind of like sit down and really get your hands dirty. If you've never written a line of code or you've never set up a Drupal site and you really want to get started, that's a great place to go and kind of have somebody there to support you. GovCon is going on down in DC, July 20th through 22nd, so hop on the Acela and make your way down there. Design for Drupal, which is mostly focused on the front end, is going to be going on in Boston, July 22nd through 24th. The happy hour, we have a happy hour, so this meetup that we're at right now is typically on the first Wednesday of every month. The Drupal NYC happy hour is typically on the last Wednesday of every month. So this month it'll be July 27th. And it's still at House of Brews as far as I am aware, but you should definitely go to meetup.com to find out info about that. We just show up, we have fun, get a drink, socialize. You can talk about Drupal-y things or you can talk about the Yankees. It really doesn't matter. Just good people having a good time. You don't have to talk about the Yankees. You can pick another team, whatever. They're not doing well this year. Drupal Camp, Pennsylvania. I have no idea where that's going on. I guess it's in Philly. I'm guessing it's in Philly. Pittsburgh, the other end of the state. How do you like them apples? Okay, so that's going on July 30th and 31st. So there's a whole bunch of upcoming events. I also know that the call for proposals for DrupalCon Dublin, if you can find your way there, is ending like today or tomorrow. So if you have an idea for a session, you may want to step out into the hallway and jot that thing down real quick. But yes, I forget when is that? Is it September? Oh, it just ended. Oh, so you may have like 30 minutes left, depending on the time zone, or maybe not. No? Well. Anyway, DrupalCon Dublin's coming up, not too long, so jot that in your calendar if you're able to, take a trip. I hear it's cheap over in the United Kingdom these days. Moving right along. Nice Camp. So I talked about this a little bit, part of Open Camp. There's all sorts of, like I said, there's trainings, there's keynotes, there's sprints. Oh, I forgot about the sprints. So for those who are not familiar, sprints are when everybody gets in a room and writes some code together to contribute back to the community. Often it's around Drupal core or around a particular module or set of modules. Everyone will get at a table and say, let's solve this problem, problem X, and everyone will sit down and help each other and solve those problems. So please do definitely consider coming to Nice Camp and tell your friends about that. What else we got? So this is part of Open Camps. These are representative iconography of all of the other things going on with Open Camps. I'll leave that up there just for a second so I can let the colors sink in, right? If you stare at this slide long enough and then close your eyes, you will still see a checker pattern in front of your face. That didn't land at all. That was terrible. Okay. Keep going. Join the Drupal Association. So the Drupal Association is great. They are the ones who are responsible for keeping like Drupal.org up and running. They help to push some of the initiatives that are going by supporting conferences, supporting the community at large. They give grants and scholarships to developers and people who are involved in the community. When we do our camps, they definitely help out. At the very least, they help out with like some of the logistics of like dealing with finances and things like that. It's super, super important for the community, and it's great to become a member, help support it. You are directly helping to support the community at large if you do that. So I do recommend that everybody take a peek and try and become a member of the Drupal Association. You can go to Assoc. I don't ever know how to pronounce that. ASSOC, assoc.drupal.org/membership, and become a member. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors. Okay. Interested in speaking. So For those of you who are not familiar, our format, we do lightning talks, which are typically 5 to 10 minute talks at the beginning of the evening. We also do much more in-depth talks, which can be 20 or 30 minutes longer if you've got a really great topic. If you're interested in speaking, I ask you to go and talk to Ben. This is Ben. Wave. Hi, I'm Ben.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. So we always have, a couple speakers first Wednesday of the month. Sometimes those are people that just reached out to me to express that they were interested in talking. That's all of the speakers tonight. Sometimes I know people and invite them to speak. So if you have topics that you're interested in as well, let me know. I can try to find a speaker that can meet that. Or if you have something that you're working on, a module, a site you're launching, some problem that you're facing that you resolved and it's a great story, and you want to present it, reach out and we'll get you scheduled. So.
Awesome. But definitely, I recommend that everybody kind of think of one idea of a 5-minute talk you can give about one problem that you've had in the last 2 months. Everyone has had one problem in the last 2 months that you could talk about. So if you can think of that one, talk to Ben, and let's get you up here. Also, like I said before, we're always very interested in feedback. So Drupal.nyc/feedback. There's a survey form you could fill out, and we just like to know how we're doing up here, what changes we can make. We've definitely responded to those in the past, and we want to keep doing that. So please, whenever you have a chance, hop on over there. All right, this is the fun part of the evening. Who is hiring? Raise your hand. Yes, we have one. All right, give me the 30-second sales pitch.
How about me?
Hi, I'm Diana. I'm a recruiter at Code and Theory. It's a digital advertising agency. We focus on brand and product meaning we do redesigns for responsive, systematic designs. So if anybody is interested, we are looking for senior Drupal developers. Let me know. I'm here.
Thank you very much. We also have Jacob over at Acquia.
Hey, I'm Jacob at Acquia. Thank you.
It's on his shirt. It's easy.
It's on the shirt. I'm hiring in my team in pre-sales, and if you're interested in convincing people to use Drupal, my team is the team. But obviously, we're hiring in many other teams.
Yep. And NBC is always hiring, right? We have a variety of different roles that are available across a whole bunch of different groups at NBC. If you're interested in finding out about those, like I said, Victor and Kevin are here, and you should definitely talk to them for a minute. They're waving. Look, they bought you pizza, guys. Like, come on, right? Yeah. All right. All right, here we go. Oh, who's looking? I forgot. Back. Raise your hand.
Are you recording this?
Fair enough. If you are looking and would like to remain anonymous, sneak out to the bathroom later, and on your way back in, go talk to Victor. Okay. But if you are looking, you kind of know who's hiring, so definitely go and find somebody. All right, here we go. Introductions. We used to do introductions, and we used to go around the room, and everybody would say, "Hi, my name is Alex Ross. My handle on Drupal.org is Bleen." I finally got the Bleen name. I used to be Bleen18, and Bleen was taken. I finally got the Bleen name. It's mine now. And then yes. And everyone would say something quick about them, and it would take about 3 hours to go through. So, responding to some of the feedback that we got, we've changed the format around a little bit. We're going to take 5 minutes. Everybody turn to somebody around you in your immediate vicinity who you don't already know. I'm looking at you two. And introduce yourself, all right? And we'll come back in 5 minutes. So say hi. said stop. Stop. I said stop. Okay. We're going to keep going, but you've now met someone you didn't know, so you now have someone to go to Bill's bar after we're done and hang out with. So there you go. There we are. So introductions. All right. So we're going to get started in just a second with our very first presenter. I'm going to ask Dave, why don't you come on up here and set your computer up. While Dave is setting up his computer, I'm just going to kind of reiterate. I'm going to head out into the lobby type area. So if anybody has an what do you call it? An Ask Me Anything, Alex Ross session. It'll be going on out there. If you have very specific questions about your sites, about what's going on, if you just, what's this Drupal thing all about? I'm happy to answer that. Yeah, so that's what I'll be doing. And in a few minutes, yeah, that's fine. If you have, yeah, HDMI should be on the other side. That's it. So I have to tell you what Dave is talking about. I didn't tell you what he was talking about. So he's going to go through his Drupal 6 to Drupal 7 conversion of pride.com. Now I lost it. Give me that sheet.
That's you.
Excuse me while I flip my thing here. Wrong one. I'm just going to let Dave get started, and you can introduce what you're talking about. What do you think? Dave is the creative director over at Digital Media.
Is this gonna work?
The creative director of digital media at Here Media, and he's going to go through what the work was done on Pride.com and
a few other sites.
a couple other sites. So take it away, Dave.
So hey, so how do I follow this guy? You know, first of all, he's like the Jimmy Kimmel of Drupal, right? Isn't he? I mean, how do you follow that? It's really difficult. So okay, so this is working. So a little introduction. Here Media runs a suite of 5 LGBT-focused sites with a combined audience of 10 million monthly uniques and 40 million page views. It's not Huffington Post, but it's it's pretty significant. We get major advertisers. We get Macy's, Tiffany, Gucci, Prada, Lexus, everybody. So you know we do okay. The 5 major sites are Out, Advocate, Pride, Out Traveler, Plus. Out, Advocate, and Pride are the big ones. Out has been around for 25 years. Advocate, obviously not the website, but the brand has been around for 50 years. Pride is brand new. That's our millennial site. It's targeted toward millennials. And Out Traveler and Plus are very, very niche. Obviously a travel market, and Plus is a health market. So we spent the past 18 months upgrading from D6 to D7. Some of these sites are huge. They have like 60,000 records. So even the migration is really can take a day just to migrate. Along the way, we standardized the HTML framework while kept a unique front end to each one. So basically, it means the back end is consistent throughout, but is new CSS for each site. We also did a few other things. We added, this is an infinite scroll. So if you scroll through the home page, it'll just keep going and going and going. We don't have any pagination anymore. And we also added a standard image size for all of the sites. So the main thing was to get syndication between all of the sites, which is hard. You have 5 unique sites and have to like merge them all into one was kind of difficult. There's a lot of legacy issues. So we use Google Material Design card system. I don't know if people are familiar with that, but it's a unique system. It's kind of new, but it uses these cards, and they're not really like playing cards. They're more like calling cards. And what that does, all right, so you can see the home page is on the left, and here's a blow-up of one of these calling cards. So what this does is that we really reduced it down to main image, taxonomy, and media type. So the taxonomy will be fashion. Media type is a slideshow, that little icon that says slideshows. Headline, synopsis, timestamp, and the sharing icon, which is the sort of engagement level. And all of this gets syndicated. And this is really important. This gets syndicated not only internally, and I can show you in a second like how that works, but also externally to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and also an RSS feed. So this is how it works in the CMS. We added like a little Twitter thing where you just say, okay, make this work on Twitter. And then we also have syndication for internal sites. Now this is actually not really a new concept. This is something that's been going on for hundreds and hundreds of years. If you look at New York Times, you'll see same thing. Headline, deck, synopsis, body, and image. And this goes back to wire services. It's really very similar. You can syndicate to all of these different electronic, or this goes back really like 100 years, Associated Press, Pony Express, Reuters, and Bloomberg. So this is why print really works really well for digital and converting to digital. So that's kind of my lightning talk. Any questions?
A little bit more about the syndication, exactly how that works, how is data shared?
You know, I'm not like a developer, I'm more creative director, so what is actually you talking about?
So are these like RESTful APIs? Do you know if?
It's very similar, I know enough that I know it's very similar to RSS and all of it. It's just put into the standard format. I mean, you see all the fields, it's very obvious Drupal, and we just syndicate it. You mean between the sites or to social media, or both? Yeah, it's really just standard. I mean, it's work. It really is work to get these things into the correct fields for Facebook, for Twitter, for anyone, Instagram. And they all have their sort of protocols, and it just has to, work according to their format.
I'm curious, since you got rid of the basically pagination that I assume was on the previous version,
Yeah.
did you guys have to do any extreme acrobatics to make sure your SEO didn't tank and that you had sort of?
Yeah, we're still.
I'm just curious what your process was. No magic trick or?
We're still figuring it out. I mean, we found that pagination, people just didn't do it. They don't go to the next page, especially on a standard story page. Slideshows, they will bang through because they're obviously optimized to be very, very fast. Story pages, we found people would not do it, and yet page views tank. So we're still working on it. We're actually thinking of going back to page views. It's always an option.
Hi. Hi, back here.
Hi.
So I was curious about how long the whole process took and whether or not, kind of like what he was saying about pagination, whether you had to do a complete redesign as well as the rebuild. Like design as in visual design, because you talked about using cards.
It took about 18 months to do all 5 sites. There are huge legacy issues. As I said, there were 60,000 records from one of the sites. So, getting the image sizes standardized was a real problem. So we just, you look at the old images and sometimes it works, sometimes they don't.
And there's another question here.
Hello?
Hey.
Sorry about that. So you mentioned that, and this is, I guess, right up your alley, you mentioned that you have segmented sites, but you're syndicating between them. So what's the concern about repeating the content if people go between them? Or do you have some sort of control over that?
What do you mean control? I mean, the editor is the one who says this can go to another site. We're playing it by ear. We try it. Sometimes it works. People go from various site to site.
And is all the stories basically in one basic database?
No. It's separate databases for each one. In fact, when we syndicate from one site to the next internally, you still have to publish it on the other CMS.
Gotcha.
You went from 6 to 7. Did you consider going to 8, or you started a process before you felt comfortable with 8?
Oh, baby steps. I mean, we're looking at 8, but I think it's going to be a while. We don't know.
Any more questions?
Yeah, one over here. Dave, you mentioned it was designed after the card styles from Doodle. Did they publish their own CSS for that, or did you use custom or another framework CSS for matching that style and that design pattern?
No, we just stole it. I mean, when I talk about the card system, we used aspects of it. It's not very, very strict. They're pretty strict about, the look and all of it. We really just took the basic concept and used it.
And replicated in your own styles?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Thank you. I think we're good. Thanks, Dave.
Okay. Thank you.
Alexa, play the Beatles.
Shuffling the Beatles from Prime Music.
You're gonna lose that girl.
So up next, we have Jacob Suchi, who is the Solution Architecture Manager at Acquia. He runs the East Coast pre-sales team. So welcome, Jacob.
Thank you. All right. Who has this at home? 1, 2. Forrest, did you raise your hand? Do you like it? It's a latest iteration. This is really loud, by the way. It's the latest iteration of a surveillance device, right? This is what FBI asked for. So I'm not going to talk much about what it is because I'm just going to use a video. I think it might be much easier. So let's just take 2 minutes to kind of introduce what this thing actually is. And then I'll show you how I've integrated it with Drupal and how you can actually create your own integration. All right?
Alexa, alarm off. Alexa, what's on the calendar today? You have 12 events scheduled. Alexa, call me an Uber. Your Uber will arrive in 2 minutes. Alexa, what's the weather like today? There's a 100% chance of showers. Alexa, pair my Bluetooth speaker. Okay, paired. Alexa, it's time to reorder some paper towels. Okay, order placed. And Alexa, play my garage music. Playing your garage playlist from Prime Music.
Alexa, play some jazz.
Playing smooth jazz from Prime Music.
Alexa, who's this?
This is Picnic Basket by Low Tone.
Alexa, turn that up.
Alexa, ask Domino's to send me my last order.
Okay, order placed.
Hey, isn't that Jason Schwartzman?
No, that's not him. I would know if that was him.
I'm pretty sure it's him.
Okay, Alexa, who stars in Mozart in the Jungle? Stars include Malcolm McDowell, Jason Schwartzman.
Ah, see? That was right.
Alexa, change the bedroom temperature to 65 degrees. Okay. Alexa, lights off. Okay. Alexa, good night. Good night. Sleep tight.
Cool. So I think that Amazon has worked on this for over 4 years. And they released it last year, and it was an instant hit. They claimed they sold millions of these. So a lot of people have this at home. Again, perfect surveillance device, right? But it's actually really useful. My wife uses it every day. I use it every day. So the real usefulness comes from the ability to integrate. So you can actually build your own, what they call skills. Everything that you just heard are skills. Those are apps, basically, right? And you can build your own skills and integrate them with any application. So what is important is this is a consumer device. It's not like an enterprise device. So don't take it to your office. It's not ready for that. But you can imagine taking it to your home. And like for you, I can imagine, hey, for example, in a library, when do I need to return my books? Or you can imagine, for example, in a school, when's my next lesson and things like that. So you can do those integrations. So what I did is I integrated it with Drupal and built a module. This is it's the Alexa module, so you can just download that and start integrating it with Drupal. And really how that works is it's really easy. It's basically a web service call. So every time you say something to this device, you receive a web service call. So for the purpose of today, what I really did is I built a quick demo that's a scorekeeper application, right? So imagine you have like friends at home and you want to keep some score at some game or like ping pong. So you want to keep the score on Alexa. So I built that integration. They have a sample application written in Node.js. So I rewrote it in Drupal. And I'm going to show it to you, and then we're going to finish it up. I'm not going to do it all, but we're going to finish it up together so you can imagine how it works. But basically the concept is you can say something like, Alexa, open scorekeeper.
Here's some things you can say. Add John. Give John 5 points. Tell me the score. New game. Reset. And exit.
Reset the game.
New game started without players. Who do you want to add first?
Add Bob.
Bob has joined your game. You can say, I am done adding players. Now it is your next player.
Add John.
John has joined your game. You can say, I am done adding players. Now it is your next player.
Give Bob 5 points.
Sorry, Bob has not joined the game. What else?
Never mind. So sometimes it doesn't
Alright,
understand you,
goodbye.
obviously. It's a machine learning model, right? But the important here is that this is a Drupal site, and you've seen the request come up on the bottom, but now I have the 2 players that I just added. So that's the integration. There's one thing missing in this game, and that's to actually tell me the scores. So I can say something like, give me the scores. But I haven't done that, so let's just take a look at it. But just to give you an idea how it works, it's actually super easy to build a skill. So this is a skill for Scorekeeper, and it's a UI. Everything you do is from the UI. And this is the invocation. That's the ask Scorekeeper to open a game or something like that, right? That's what you say in order to start your app. And then you build an interaction model. And the interaction model has an intent. Think about it as a YAML file in a route for Drupal, right? That's what it is. So in Drupal, if you build a YAML file, the routing file, this is the same. These are all the intents you have. So basically all the commands, like add a score, what's the score, or reset players, start a new game, etc. Right? That's all you have to do. And in this case, we have a custom slot. Slot is an argument. So those are the players. So I have a list of all the players you can possibly add. And then something they call sample utterances. Again, this is a technology that builds on machine learning. So basically, you give it all the sample sentences that you think people will say when they reset a game. Because people might say, I'm going to turn it off now, Alexa, reset a game. Or you can say, Alexa, clear a game, or clear last game, and things like that. So you just give them all these sample points, sample sentences, and they basically build a model for a probability that you just said something. And that's how they route the commands. So once I say reset the game, they'll say, okay, this is the command, and they'll send me a web service call into Drupal saying this is the command. And you can respond to it and do something to it. So it's super easy to build your new skills. You just download the module and start basically building. Right? So one thing that I haven't done is you'll see if you scroll down to the bottom, there's a tell scores intent. So Alexa, tell me what the score is of this game. Or Alexa, what's the ranking or what's the leaderboard? And if you ask that right now, let me just quickly switch over here so you can see what's happening. So again, this is a module, right? I have a module here. It's all in Drupal 8 and make it very big here. Keep going. Is this big enough? Yeah. So the module really receives the command, and you switch based on the command, on the intent. So you can see, tell scores intent, and it just says, yeah, I don't know how to do that, right? So now we can actually extend that. So if I say this, Alexa, ask scorekeeper what the score is.
Haha, I do not know how to do that yet.
There you go. So now we can start changing it, and we can potentially, this is Drupal already, so now we can start, you've seen the nodes.
Haha, I do not know how to do that yet.
Yeah. Never mind.
All right, goodbye.
Got the message. So now we can load all the content from Drupal, load the scores, and respond back. But we're not going to obviously do that, but now we can change that and say, hello, Drupal Meetup. And so it doesn't ask us again. We're going to end the session. And that basically means you're not going to wait for next input from the person that actually says these. So now I can do something else. Alexa, ask scorekeeper to give me a score.
Hello, Drupal Meetup.
There you go. So now you see that the application is actually responding, right? And if I go back to my site, and unfortunately I cannot make this bigger, but or can I? I can't. But what I want you to notice is if I start talking to it, you will see requests coming in. So just to show you that the requests for Drupal are actually really coming in, right? This is just a log. This is the Apache access log, right? So if I do this again and I say, Alexa, open scorekeeper.
Here's some things you can say. Add John. Give John 5 points. Tell me the score. New game. Reset. And exit.
Reset the game.
New game started without players. Who do you want to add first?
Never mind.
All right. Goodbye.
So you can see all the requests arrive, right? So it's a Drupal integration. It's nothing else than a web service. And if you go back to Drupal, this is the Drupal site and the content, you'll see all the content is gone because I just reset the game, so the players are gone. And that's really, I told it to reset the game. It called Drupal and said reset the game. Well, and in Drupal, I just deleted all the nodes, right? If you take a look at that, so I just removed all the nodes. That's all I did, right? So this is a sample integration. Again, this is not a very useful skill or application, but this is how you can imagine how you can build your own in Drupal. So you can, for example, in a library, right? I would like, by the way, I would like a skill saying, when are my books due, right? Or something like that. That would be a very useful skill. Cool, so I'm going to end here. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer technical questions about how the integration work. But thanks.
How dynamic can the responses get? Like, I know you can ask at the time and it will tell you the current time, but could I ask it something that changes based on other factors? Something like what's trending on Twitter in New York? Is that possible to ask something like that?
Yeah, so this is code. So whatever you can do in code, you can do, right? So this response, you can insert variables into that. So if you know who the user is, then you can find out more about what the user does, what they want, and respond specifically to them, right? They have a capability to link the device to your skill as a username. So in that case, you would, for example, could say something like, Alexa, log into Drupal, right? And it would actually, they have an app, and on the app you would log in, and it would be the Drupal login, form, and they will basically use auth to log you in. So From now on, this device will be linked to your specific account. The module doesn't do that yet. I haven't implemented that. If you want to help with that, I would be glad to get help with OAuth. But you have the capability to do that, and which means that you can then basically do anything you want in the code and respond with, date, if that does anything. Alexa, ask Scorekeeper what the score is.
Hello, Drupal Meetup.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything.
We have another follow-up.
I was just going to say that running sentiment analysis, you could integrate that with Watson APIs, just to follow up on his question.
Yeah, you could.
Bring it all together.
Yeah. There was an example in the video on the dominoes, right? Or the Capital One has an app as well. So you can say something like, Alexa, what's my account balance? Pay my credit card bill, right? So that's very personal. That's linked to your specific person. Cool.
So typically Drupal and HTTP request are stateless. So how do you maintain state for an ongoing conversation?
Right, so it's not going to look very good. But this is how the request from, not this one. I probably don't have a log of the request here. I would show that to you. But there's basically, actually I can show it to you here. So if you go to test, I can do like help. So this is how the request looks like, right? So you will, in Drupal, you will basically receive this payload. And part of that, I want you to notice there's a session ID. So once you open the app or invoke the skill, they will create a session for that specific interaction. And as long as the ring is blue, so you don't do the end session in your application, they will carry the session ID, so you can potentially link the users, right? My application is actually completely stateless as well. I just don't worry about the session in this case, but you can carry the session in order to understand kind of what's happening or where you are in the interaction.
There's a place where it's asking what else. So I'm assuming there's a session that continues.
Yeah, so the question was what happens when you do what else, right? So look in the code over here. This is, I said, Bob has joined the game, what else? And then it says reprompt, what else? So actually, the session continues automatically unless you end it, right? So it's going to expect more input from you. So the application is actually completely stateless. It's up to you to implement the state. And they have something they call session attributes. So you could send data back. With the response, you could send data back. Like you can send your state back and then use it. But actually, you need to, in your intent, in the commands, you need to assume where you are and find out if kind of the conditions for where you are really correct. That's a little hard for like very complicated skills. And Amazon, I talked to the Amazon solutions architect, and they said they recommend the skills can't be deep, right? You need to achieve what you want to do in like a couple of interactions, like 1 or 2 interactions, or then repeat them. But if you go like into 5 interactions, you're gonna get lost. Like imagine if you ask for insurance code and it's gonna ask you, what's your age? Where do you live? Male, female, all of these, you'll get lost in it. So they kind of recommend that you get limited to 1 or 2 interactions.
I have to ask the security question. All the data is being routed through Amazon. So what is Amazon seeing? Everything?
So they will see the requests. They won't be able to log into your site as you because it's OAuth, so they only have the token. Well, they could misuse the token in a sense, right? But you could cancel those tokens. But yeah, Amazon sees it all. And FBI said they cannot confirm or deny whether they have tapped into one of these. Anybody has a last question?
I have a question, if there's nobody burning to have
Go ahead.
Ask. I was curious about this, the skill interface.
This?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where did that come from? What framework is that built on? Is that?
This is Amazon's.
But the skill itself, like they call them skills, and it's set up exactly as this? Because I've never used this, so I was curious.
Yeah,
If
so
you
this
had
is
a-
basically their dashboard. This is their developer UI.
Right, no, I understand that, but I wasn't sure if you had added to this in any way.
No, this is
Okay.
really like,
Bare
this is
bones.
like log into Amazon. This is like log into AWS console and
Straight
managing
up.
your DNS.
Gotcha. Okay,
Right,
cool,
something
cool,
like
cool.
that. So
Easy.
you can use this interface to build a skill. This is actually the only way you can build a skill. They don't have an API.
I see.
For
So
this to
skill is
say.
their schema for a learning object. for-
Skill
Okay.
is an app.
Got it.
You know, they call it a
Thank you.
skill, but it's an app.
Cool, cool.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks a lot.
All right. So next up we have Adar. He's going to be talking about budget goggles and a time box project. And Adar runs US operations for Gizra. And if you're not familiar, Gizra is an excellent agency based out of Israel and the US, known for a lot of really great Drupal projects and Drupal modules. Messaging framework is one that comes to mind. That's pretty excellent. So I'll pass it off to Adar, and welcome.
Can you hear okay? Yeah. This song is Sunday, Bloody Sunday. So what I would like to speak about is how we manage, it's more how we do the price estimation for a project. We found the price estimation is essential for the successful of a project. I bet there's at least one person here in that room that lost money on a project, right? That the project really took much longer than what you expected to happen, or the project was not as successful, or you wasn't really happy with the results. Is that a true statement? Yeah. So I see a few nods, and so we really. So as everything else we do in Gizra, we put everything out there. I mean, we give some ideas, we share it with the community. It's this, what I'm gonna show, it's a bit radical, it's a bit not maybe for everyone. You can take, you can take whatever you want, but it works really good for us. So just what I would like to cover, it's just a little bit about ourselves, about us, what we do, what we consider as a successful project. What we call the budget goggles, this is basically how the budget of the project really dictate the success of the project. We'll talk about this in more depth later. And, oh, sure, yeah. And how it's all come together later, like internally in Gizra. We are about 20 people developing. We have offices here in the US and in Israel. So how the budget or the price estimation or the price offer can actually put everyone on the same page. This is just part of the project we are involved in. And the reason, by the way, that we opened the office in the US, which is pretty young, it's just a few months old, it's from the last winter, it's just because we just had to be able to manage project better here on the East Coast, like the UN and other clients. So as you see, we're pretty active in the community. Some of those models you probably heard about or you even used. And I think that gave us enough street cred to come with that bold statement. Really believe this is the truth. I mean, this is, and everyone who just was around just for a little bit, sorry, too many papers, can tell that this is, it's very likely to fail. It's really, really hard to get it right. And that picture show it, I think it's captured the idea. Something went really, really wrong with the planning of that banner. I mean, I would expect much more from that college, but yeah, so there's a bonus point if you can find a C. I guess you're all smart people here, so you'll spot it. So people don't really like to talk about failure. It's not something, it's just not something people like to talk about. But we put the failure as, and the right, it's like the elephant in the room, because everyone who was involved just even a bit in implementation of a large project know that it's very, very likely that it won't go well or wasn't successful. It's really hard to get it just right. The scope can be wrong, or maybe there's just too many managers that take the project to different directions. Maybe it wasn't really thought out, like this picture, for instance, wasn't really thought out well enough before they just started the job. So what does it mean, success? So for us in Giza, its definition is pretty easy. Is it on time? Is it on budget? And if users are happy. Now, yeah, Alex is not here, but there's some other cute kids out there. Yeah, there are twins in their mind, so yeah. So what is the definition of success? It's pretty clear. I mean, on budget, I mean, you want, if it's not on budget, you're really in a big trouble. If it's not on time, not everybody gonna be happy with that. Users are happy. When you say users, we mean not just, we mean everybody, like everybody in the part of that project need to be happy. The boss or the project management on the client side, the agency, whoever, the agency need to be proud of what we've done. Like the developers, even the junior developers should be happy at the end. And of course the users, whoever gonna use the sites. If you know about them, if it's a non-users, all have to be happy. And it's really difficult to get all those correctly, even though it seems pretty simple task. So how we can guarantee happiness? This is kind of a Zen question. People were seeking that answer for generations. So we found maybe just a corner of how to get that right. Now this is pretty obvious, and I don't know if Frank is here. The last meetup, he also talked about how to, the importance of common language in, when doing a project. Now this is, it's nothing, it's not groundbreaking here. There's not really secret, but what does it mean? So the setting expectation, we need to set the expectation very, very early in the project. Otherwise, we might, the clients will be disappointed at the end. If the client's imagining like a huge project, maybe a Google or a Facebook, but much better, but the budget doesn't correspond to what he was imagining. So we need to make sure that whatever he is dreaming on, I mean, his dream and the budget, how it actually works together. And the common language, that's even more important as I see it. As a project manager, which is mostly what I do here, I need to understand just enough about the client's life or of the client world to understand what, in order for the project to be successful. And what do I mean? I need to know about the lingo, about the organization, maybe the hierarchy within the organization, who are the users, and let's say, what's the difference between a case study and an article? What is the difference between a user X and a user Y. All that I need to understand, right? I mean, even before we even start any discovery phase, and we'll talk about this soon. So when on all that information, by the way, travel from the project management to the designer, to the UX designer, to who else? The junior the developer. Everyone should know just enough about the life of the client and the world of the client to start to work on the project. But also, I'm expecting the client to know just enough about our life. He should know what is a node, what is a content type, maybe what is anonymous users, just so we can have a common ground on what we talk about. Now, the project manager, that's his role. This is what he should do, is basically to guide the client or whoever the rep from the client end to go through the process, like sitting with them and understand what do they mean by, and even help them to name the content type. For instance, I was involved in one of the projects, and they came up with content type called article number 2 and article number 3, which was just different sort of fields, different. Of course, that's not gonna fly. We need to know to have a little. So we sat together and we came up with the better names that won't be very, won't be that complicated to whoever gonna develop the whole thing. Okay. Now, so just about the Gizra way. This is the way we like to work, and for many years it was mainly development. It was how to do a code review, how you do automatic testing, how you write the code, continuous integration. All that was internally for the development team. Then we realized that you can be the best coder in the West, on the East in this case, and you can know all the. When you need to know your stuff very good, it still doesn't mean that the project is going to be successful. And we know it because we have pretty good developers, and still some of the projects we find out that we lost a lot of money on them, or just it didn't fit into the 3 criteria that we like to talk about. Now, part of the Gizra way, it's what we like to call the budget gaggle. This is the way we look at the price offer, or the way we take the client fantasy and make it more of a reality. We put on the budget goggles. I should bring them next time. And going over all the requests, all the term of references, whatever, and see if it actually fits into the real budget. And it's the budget dictate the project, and this is just the reality. This is the reality check with the client. What's going to fit into the budget? What is more important? What should we maybe leave for next phase? And it doesn't matter if the budget is 2,000K or if it's 30,000 or 10,000. This it's applied to any size of the project, of any project. So what is actually we doing? We sit with the client or with the potential client and try to understand what he needs. Now, let's be frank. Oftentimes we hear the client talk. We listen to it and said, okay, now I'm listening to you, or I hear what you say. Let's talk about what you really need, or what you really want. And that can take an hour, and can take a week. We take that information and break it into, and basically into small tasks, and try to translate it to words and terms that everyone understands. All right, this is what we call, this is the common language. And I mean, this is the fact that every feature, every bug has a price tag on it. It might be, the price tag might be a 0 because it's going to take 2 minutes, but it's still a price. And the client will get that. Oh, if we jump for the future, for a few months after, or a few weeks after, the clients will get a very long list of every single task and see what fit into his budget. We most likely we do it together. If we zoom in a little bit, and we're gonna do one just next. We're gonna get our hands dirty and do one like that. If we look in here, what we see how that Excel, that spreadsheet, sum up the process, and this is the first step for a successful project. This is how we see it, and it's proved itself more than once. So every item is very small. I mean, we're talking about top 12 hours. No task is more than 12 hours. Why 12 hours? Why not? Because it's not 15 and not 9. The truth is it's a day and a half work, right? Day and a half work, that's something you can manage. This is something that can be accurate enough. You can be really accurate if the resolution is too high. And we try to break it as too small as possible, because then for every task, we can see if it's on time and if it's on budget and if people are happy. Right, so what else we see here? We see here a common language. There's a line here, it's called inner pages. So I'm assuming that inner pages now, everybody, all the stakeholders in that project know what inner pages means. I also can tell, for instance, if we do the about page, and we do the markup, desktop markup for the about page is going to take 4 hours. It's not going to take 5 hours, it's not going to take 2 hours. We estimate it as 4 hours. The client will pay for 4 hours just for the markup, and the developer not going to work 40 hours on it to get it very perfect because he thinks he can do it even better. The developer has 4 hours to get it done. And when I say 4 hours, that's mean for the task is complete, ready to merge. I mean, it's done. Not necessarily it's going to take just the 4 hours are going to be at once, but the total time is 4 hours. Now, stop talking about that stupid about page. The client also know that this is what is he paid for, and that's what you're gonna get. So it's basically establishing a common language and what was the other thing? Let's see if you listen. Common language and set expectation on a single pretty boring spreadsheet. Let's see if there's anything else. So some of you probably ask, where is that the discovery phase that we so used to put on the top of any proposal that we give out? This lengthy process of 2, 3, 4 weeks with a lot of meetings and questionnaires. I argue this is in most cases not really necessary. And so what we do is something that's pretty radical, as I said. Before even the client is a client, we sit together. It can take half a day and can take up to 5 days. Try to come to understand their needs. So it's basically we give the kind of a light discovery phase for free. And it's not like because we so good, it's because we know that it's going to save us a lot of money later. we had a few fixed price projects at the past that we lost a lot of money on them. They were priced horribly wrong. And as a result, knowing that we can save, thousands of dollars, if not more, just by saving about, doing up to 5 days of price estimation, I think we believe it's worthwhile for us. At least we feel good about it. So that is something kind of reinsurance that something will work a little bit better. So this is a price we're willing to pay. What does it mean? That we do we call it working sessions. It's not really a discovery. We work only with one person, maybe two from that organization. There's no deliverable at the end. The only deliverable is that crazy Excel sheet. And I'll talk about this in a second. That might be the only deliverable, something like that. Yeah, so we basically try to steer clear from a long discovery phase, which clients not necessarily even like to pay for them. If we realize, and we all realize, not just us, but also the person from the other side realize that this is something it's needed, we will definitely edit it to the Excel. So why don't we just try to do one ourselves? This is just for the sake of the demo. This is just another page, another web page with a logo, search, login. I think you've seen those before. That's the internet. And so this is a template we use, which this is not the template. This is a template I will be happy to share with you later. I can put it on Twitter or anywhere you would like. And we try to take that picture and put it here into Excel. Now I've left my glasses at home, so just bear with me. So I like to start with the markup because that's pretty easy. We know what we want. So let's look again. It includes, as we say, a header with a search and more. So as I said, very small task, right? So do you know how to zoom in that thing? Okay. So we have a header. Okay, we can even say log in plus a logo. Sorry, I'm in the wrong place. This is the home page, and I want to do in the general. So it's a header, a navbar. It was a search, right? Search input. What else? We have a footer. So on the footer, I'm gonna go a little bit crazy. We'll say footer links, footer copyright, and what's footer social media. Sorry about my typos. I honestly cannot see anything. So now, the search, this is just the markup for the search on the desktop. This is not the actual search. There's no functionality, right? So we need to take that and add the functionality in the general functionality. We say that general search API. It's not happening by itself. Someone is doing it. There's a developer, senior or junior developer, who has to add that to the site, right? So that's why we have to add it in here. So let's say that's going to take him 1 hour. let's say 2 hours. And I don't add any buffer. This is the actual time that I'm expecting, or the CTO is expecting from the developer to do it, to finish it, basically to complete it, and that's from the, put it in that way. A developer get to the office, 9 o'clock. At 9:15, he start to work on the search API. By 11:15, it's done and it's ready to be merged. Okay. The header, that's the, if we go to the header, it's going to take 2 hours. The navigation bar, it's a bit more complex, 4 hours. Search input, 1 hour. This I'm talking about the, still in the wrong place. It's on the mobile, but whatever. And now the footer links. This will take another hour. Now, footer copyright. Let's be realistic. If you take you more than 5 minutes, then you're really in trouble. This is not your problem. So we put 0. So why to bother and put 0 here? Because this is the project. This is the expectation. This is going to be a list of the expectation from the project, and everyone is. This is what we work as a team. Now, if we can keep on going to the home page, which include a carousel, blog post, right, and some text. And again, during those meetings, we try to figure out, is this, if the carousel is a dynamic, if the clients want to update it every week, if it's a static, if it's a hard-coded, same as the text. Based on that, we adding that information in here. So for a content type, all right, carousel is going to be a content type. Yeah. It's really bad, right? And we have post, blog post. Okay, those are content type. We find out that it will take us 5 hours for each one. And as you say, oh, that's crazy, 5 hours, that's a long time just for to start a new content type and to add few fields. But it's also include writing a BHAT test, making sure, to migrate some dummy text as well, make sure that everything is working well. And again, it not necessarily means that the 5 hours will happen at one settings. It can be for the whole of the project, but it's not going to take more than 5 hours. So I try to be very, very exact. As you see, there's no comments. There's no place to add comments or to add description. Because we find out that the description takes you away from it, and it's basically put boundaries on us to cut it to the smallest items as possible. Now it's gonna be a very long document at the end. I mean, no doubt about it. There's no way to, and we don't really care about the bottom line at this point. Only when we're gonna skip it very, very quick. So if I take the header, all that, copy it into my desktop because I put it accidentally under mobile, and what? And that's it, and that's going to take me 0, 0. Let's say the navigation bar, it's actually some JavaScript on it, so it's more complex than 0. All right, so for now we got 2 content types, functionality search, or what about search result page, right? This is another thing we need to talk about, need to price. I just leave it, it's pretty boring. So we'll keep it simple. Now I scroll down, and there's also a place to put how many hours I'm going to put on migration of media, of the content from an old site to a new site, implementation of Shuv. This is our virtual, it's our testing mechanism that we have developed, hosting, project management. And that's without even noticing, we got to $4,300. Now the question is, if that's the budget, this is the client budget. If his budget is only $3,000, he will try to figure out how we can cut it, how we can change the budget, so change the project based on the budget because the budget dictates the project. So this is a very honest and transparent process. We sit together and we realize, okay, the carousel might be too much for you for this phase. And if I go back to my keynote thing, yeah. So if we go back here, we do believe that making those small tasks as little as possible will make everyone happy, not just the client. Or I don't know if the client's actually going to be happy. We had some crazy response to those. It's pretty overwhelming, and we have to whoever receive it to get some, to get used to it. Because it might be, we need to know how to read those. But again, if we go back to that page, excuse me, it's all summed together, the setting expectation and common language in one Excel file. Because once this is our offer, everyone from both sides, the developer knows that he can work only 4 hours on this, or he is expecting to deliver something in certain time. He's also happy that we, the kids, you need to give them limitations. You can just let them free. So let's make them, they basically what they know what we expect from them. Okay. I save you to do the content form and all that. It's getting late. Now, how do we take all that and incorporate it into our internal work in Gizra? So we have developed, maybe developed, that's too much to say, but put it onto our GitHub. A tool that will take that Excel file and create issues in GitHub automatically. The issues will include information, the name, and also how much time the developer is supposed to work on it. That's also tied to another piece of software we are working and we develop, which is called Productivity, which pulled the GitHub issues into that, and the developer. This is how we track the project, how the project works. If it's on track, if there's need more time, the developer put how many hours or how many minutes he works on each item, which all those items exist on the Excel file, right? And if we notice something is not on track or something is exceeding the time, there's a notification go automatically to the managers, of course. But also we sit together and we try to realize what went wrong. Is it the description was not correct? Maybe the designer did some crazy thing, which is make it very complicated to implement. Or maybe the price estimation was false. So the thing is that we can measure success on each item, on each one line item, meaning that we don't wait for it to escalate and to tank the project just because one task, like 2 hours task, was not done properly. We find out that if the tasks are, let's say, let's say 2 days or 4 days, they can take much longer, and by the time you realize it's taking longer, might be a little bit too late. Right. So the price offer, if we just sum up, the price offer is more than just a price offer. It's a light discovery phase. It's a pre-sale process. Because at first it's happened before the pre-sale, but also it's established some common ground with the person we want to be our partner. He learned about the way we work, and I think it's established also some respect and trust between the agency and the client, which is maybe the most important thing. Transparency and honesty, because everything is in that Excel file. I mean, everyone knows what's in there, how much it's gonna cost, and that we're not really gonna charge just a buffer for no reason. Also, by the way, our Git, when we work on a client project, the GitHub repository is open to everybody. The client can log in and see all the communication between the web developers, the project lead, and have its own comment as well. This is just the way we work. Another thing I didn't mention, that this is the fact that it's accurate, and we try to make it as accurate as possible. I mean, not right, it has to be accurate. Otherwise, we cannot measure improvement. If that's going to cost, if we think, we just notice that I don't even to make a Twitter, let's say a Twitter feed should take 3 hours, but we constantly have taking much longer. Maybe something is wrong, maybe the developer need to get some training. Had we measured it, let's say, just in a half a day, so in a random or just fluid time, we won't be able to figure out this is something is wrong or something should be changed. That's about it. Okay, there's a shock.
Hi, thank you. How do you handle changes in scope from the client side once you've engaged in the project?
Yeah, so we say there's no unknowns and knowns. Once the project is signed, we will call it just a first phase, and everything else can be done later on, or we can run 2 projects at the same time. One is the actual priced offer, and another one is like 10 hours as a retainer, right? So we try to fit those changes into the retainer. Now, again, we're talking about budget, because if the client has a budget for, let's say, 20 hours a month, and he has a very long list of features and bugs that he wants to fit into it, we sit together, and by breaking it down to small tasks, you can say, okay, this is like a menu in a restaurant. This is what I'm gonna get for now. I will do the dessert next time. But we try really to. It's not that we're not agile. I mean, the fact that if we work agile, the things will change while you do it. We do it. We try not to. I mean, we're not that stiff. I mean, and most of our projects are pretty large projects, so it's more of a partnership. I know it sounds like a terrible marketing, but it is true, because this is how we try to establish that trust. Because I think the project management role is to guiding the client who doesn't know what he doesn't know. He doesn't know how complex is this idea, or what should be the next step, or let's say I want to do newsletter in my site, but I don't have the money or I don't have the budget for MailChimp. But MailChimp will cost you $10 a month or a year, while developing, I mean, let's say, like my newsletter, it costs you much more. So all these things the project management should know and put it there. We also don't do it that often. We give few options. The reason we don't do it that often is because it takes a long time. So spending all that time and then do twice, sometimes it just doesn't worth it. But tough love between the agency and the client. That's something we really believe in. Like sometimes someone need to say, okay, we put the step down and say, that's what we have the budget for. Trust me, that's what you want. And I mean, you know, in most cases it works.
Testing. Okay. Hi, I'm Austin Abel. I'm a student, beginner web developer. I had a question. You talked a lot about the cost to make a website, and you know, right now as a student, you know, you talked about like for $4,000. I was just curious. I had a lot of questions, but like for $4,000, how much of a website could you develop for a client?
It's a good. I don't know. It really depends what the client wants in that $4,000. If you just need like a brochure site with, you know, few pages, I think we can fit in $4,000. If you're gonna take that project, not necessarily.
Okay, my follow-up question is like, if you go online, there's a lot of like cheap ways. So how do you compete with?
We don't compete. We offer a different service.
Oh, okay.
If someone wanna use, I mean, it's very often people come to me and I said, you just go to Squarespace or Wix and pay the $12 a month. It's a great service. It's just, you know, it's just not the same. It's just, you know, it's just totally different category. I mean, that's what you meant.
So my other question is like, what's the difference between the two? Is it that like you're taking advantage of the fact that people don't know about any programming or not willing to make a Squarespace or a Weebly or whatever, and you versus you manage their website? Or I'm just curious.
I don't think I take advantage on anyone because we are very upfront with what we do. And again, if project is less than 25 hours, most likely we're not going to take it. This is just, you know, just arbitrary number, but this is the number. And maybe Drupal is not the answer. You know, there's other.
Okay, so basically,
so
you would take like larger companies versus like smaller website deals.
I guess my manager will kill me if I say so, but
okay.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, sure. I mean, it's just what is our offering versus what is other offering. I mean, Joomla or WordPress, or maybe you don't even need a CMS, right?
Thanks.
Sure. All right. Thank you.
Woo! I'm back. I was out there helping people.
If someone wants that template, I don't know how we can do it, but if I can put it on the meetup.
Yeah, if
thing.
you put a comment on the meetup.com, you can put a link. And awesome. All right, thank you very much to all of our speakers. Let's round of applause. Woo! Can someone click the thing? The input? Someone hit that input. You got it for me? Here it comes. I can't wait. Yes. Okay. All right. So those were our speakers, our presentations for the evening. They were great. I only saw like 3 seconds of it, but I hear they were great. Our next meetup, as usual, first Wednesday of the month. It's August 3rd, right here in this room. Don't forget, if you have a particular idea, something you want to talk about, talk to my friend Ben over here, or come up and talk to me, and I'll say, that's a great idea, you should talk to Ben about that. If you have something particular you would love to hear about, right? I am super interested in what's going on in Drupal 8 with panels. I don't know, I'm making something up. Talk to Ben, and he will find someone. Yes, he will. He will find someone to talk about that topic for you. So please do that. His email address is jevons@gmail.com. Or you can even stick a comment on the meetup.com site, and he will find you. Oh, yes. Here we go. Finally, after party, Bill's Bar and Burger downstairs. Entrance is on 51st Street. If you find yourself at the bar at Bill's Bar and you don't recognize any of the people in this room, then go to the other bar. It's either downstairs or upstairs, and you're in the wrong place. But don't get lost. Some people will be there, I promise. That's it for tonight. Thanks again for coming, and come again. Woo! We talked about Nice Camp a lot. Don't forget, Nice Camp this weekend, Friday, trainings. And registration closes tomorrow morning for Nice Camp. Register now. Tell your friends and neighbors and your friends' neighbors. Tweet it out to everybody you know and to people you don't know. Nice Camp this weekend.